Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. As the 2025 NFL Draft inches closer, all eyes are shifting toward the Miami Dolphins. Franchise perched on a pivotal crossroads that could define its future for the next decade. For fans of South Florida football, the question isn't just who the team will select this year. It's whether the Dolphins will finally tip their hand on how they truly view Tua Tagovailoa. Because beneath the surface of mock drafts, analysts, predictions, and the clamor of draft night excitement, there's a quieter, more consequential storyline developing. Will the Dolphins hedge their bets at quarterback? Tua Tagovailoa, Miami's enigmatic and oft-debated signal caller, has become a symbol of both promise and uncertainty. He's dazzled at times, shown exceptional accuracy, and led with quiet confidence. But he's also endured stretches of inconsistency, missed time due to injury, and left fans and coaches alike wondering, can he stay healthy and effective enough to be the long-term answer? Miami has been patient with him, committed even. But the nature of the NFL leaves little room for sentiment. Windows close quickly, and franchises can't afford to wait forever. The Dolphins may not say it out loud, but actions often speak louder than words. According to a recent report from CBS Sports insider Jonathan Jones, Miami is among the teams quietly surveying the quarterback landscape between the second and fourth rounds of this year's draft. They're not angling for a top 10 pick or looking to make headlines with a bold trade-up, but they are watching, waiting, evaluating, and with 10 total picks, including 4 selections in those crucial middle rounds, they're uniquely equipped to make a move if the right prospect falls into their lap. It's not hard to see why this approach might appeal to the Dolphins. Despite a loaded offense and one of the NFL's most electrifying wide receiver tandems, they stumbled late last season and missed the playoffs. Injuries played a role, as they always do in this sport, but so did a lack of depth under center. When Tua was unavailable, the team lacked a viable contingency plan. They've since signed Zach Wilson in free agency, a move that turned heads, though not necessarily in a reassuring way. Wilson, a former number 2 overall pick, brings potential but also questions of his own after a turbulent tenure with the New York Jets. Skylar Thompson, the only quarterback Miami has drafted since selecting Tagovailoa in 2020, showed flashes of competence, but ultimately went 1-3 as a starter and is now wearing black and gold in Pittsburgh. The Dolphins can't afford to get caught unprepared again. If they truly want to compete deep into January and perhaps even into February, they need more than hope. They need a plan, and that plan might just involve a name that has stirred up no small amount of conversation: Quinn Ewers. In Jordan Reed's latest mock draft for ESPN, he has the Dolphins using their 135th overall pick in the 4th round to scoop up Ewers, the former Texas Longhorn with a cannon for an arm and a resume that sparked debate in NFL war rooms across the country. For some scouts, he's a hidden gem, a developmental quarterback with untapped potential who just needs the right system and mentorship to thrive. For others, he's a risky project, a player who never quite lived up to his high school hype and could struggle to adjust to the speed and complexity of the pro game. What's undeniable, however, is that Ewers has talent. He threw for over 3,400 yards and 31 touchdowns in the SEC, standing tall in big games and showing flashes of NFL-level anticipation and poise. He didn't just survive. He competed at a high level, especially when it mattered most. And in a quarterback class without a runaway favorite beyond the 1st round, Ewers represents the kind of calculated gamble that could pay dividends if nurtured properly. Miami might be just the place for him. With Mike McDaniel's creative offensive mind, a roster brimming with playmakers, and no immediate pressure to start, a player like Ewers could marinate and grow behind the scenes. He wouldn't need to be a savior on day one. He could learn, develop, and be ready when and if his number is called. And should the injury bug bite again, as it has in the past, the Dolphins would have someone who offers more than just a warm body to fill the void. This isn't to say the Dolphins are giving up on Tua, quite the opposite. But in a league where fortunes shift with every snap and franchises are judged by their ability to adapt, smart teams plan for every scenario. But the Dolphins know they have a roster built to win now. Their defense is stout, their offense explosive, their coaching staff innovative and unafraid. What they need is assurance that no matter what happens, the quarterback position won't be the reason they fall short again. The whispers around the league suggest that Miami is serious about this. They've done their homework. They've mapped out the scenarios. They know who might be available and when. If the board falls a certain way, don't be surprised if a quarterback walks across the stage in a teal and orange cap on day 2 or 3 of the draft. It won't be a flashy pick. It might not even register as a headline the next morning. But it could be the most important move they make. And for fans watching at home, it will be a moment of revelation, a glimpse into the minds of the Dolphins front office. A subtle but powerful signal that they are thinking ahead, playing the long game, and refusing to be caught off guard. The message will be clear. We believe in Tua, but we also believe in being ready. The 2025 NFL Draft won't define the Miami Dolphins, but it may reveal more about them than any game ever could. It will tell us what kind of franchise they want to be. One that clings to hope and rides the waves of uncertainty? Or one that confronts its reality head on and makes bold moves in the shadows? One thing is certain. Thursday night is coming. And when the Dolphins are on the clock, the world will be watching. Not just for who they pick, but for what that pick means in a league that never stops, where every decision echoes through seasons. Now to come, the Dolphins are preparing to make a choice. It won't just shape their depth chart. It could shape their destiny. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins? This week, the Miami Dolphins find themselves standing at the edge of a cliff. And the storm isn't just brewing. It's already here. For a franchise that seemed poised to take the next big leap in the AFC, a shocking revelation has torn through the locker room like a thunderclap. Jalen Waddle has reportedly made it clear that he no longer wants to take the field alongside quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't just some rotational player or disgruntled veteran making noise. We're talking about Jalen Waddle, one of the most electrifying receivers in the league, a cornerstone of the Dolphins' offense, and perhaps the second most important piece on that side of the ball after Tyreek Hill. And his declaration isn't a vague, passive-aggressive social media post. According to sources close to the team, Waddle has told Dolphins leadership that he cannot continue playing in a system led by Tua. The reason? A deep, growing rift between the two former Alabama teammates that has apparently reached a breaking point. It's a bombshell that sends shockwaves not just through Miami, but across the NFL landscape. How did it get to this point? How do two players who once shared the same collegiate battlefield, who lit up Saturdays in Tuscaloosa, become adversaries within a high-powered NFL offense? And what does this mean for the Dolphins moving forward? Because make no mistake, this is not just a spat that will go away quietly. This has the potential to redefine the entire direction of the franchise. To understand how we got here, you have to go back. Back to Alabama, back to the chemistry that everyone believed would naturally carry over to the pros. When the Dolphins drafted Waddle in 2021, pairing him with Tua seemed like a no-brainer. The narrative was romantic, almost cinematic. Two college stars reunited to bring glory to Miami. For a while it worked. Waddle broke rookie records. Tua showed flashes of being a top-tier QB. The offense was fast, fun, and effective. But somewhere along the way, cracks began to form. At first, it was subtle. Sideline exchanges that looked just a little too tense. Press conference answers that felt more rehearsed and heartfelt. Whispers from insiders that Waddle was growing frustrated with the inconsistencies in Tua's play. Then came the 2023 season. Despite putting up decent numbers, Waddle's targets dropped. The explosive plays were fewer. His body language on the field started telling a different story. Arms thrown up in frustration, heads shaken after underthrown balls, the kind of silent communication that screams louder than words. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, things were reportedly spiraling. Waddle, according to team sources, questioned Tua's leadership in meetings. There were concerns about preparation, about in-game adjustments, about accountability. And when teammates were asked to speak up, it was Waddle who led the charge. The trust, it seems, had eroded. And in a sport where timing, rhythm, and belief in your quarterback are everything, Waddle had reached his limit. The boiling point, according to multiple insiders, came late last season after a key loss that derailed Miami's playoff hopes. In the locker room, emotions ran high. Some players called for unity, others pointed fingers, but Waddle, usually one to keep things professional, reportedly confronted Tua directly, questioning his decisions, his preparation, and even suggesting that the team couldn't win big games with him at the helm. What started as a passionate exchange became a fissure that no team meeting or PR strategy could patch. And now, it's public. Jalen Waddle has drawn a line in the sand. He's told the Dolphins that if they expect him to suit up in aqua and orange next season, it can't be with Tua Tagovailoa throwing him the ball. It's an ultimatum that puts the front office in an impossible position. Do you back your quarterback, the former 5th overall pick who's shown steady, if not spectacular growth? Or do you side with one of the best young receivers in the game, a home run threat who could be a WR1 anywhere else in the league? The timing couldn't be worse. With the draft just days away and free agency mostly wrapped up, the Dolphins don't have an easy path forward. Trading Waddle would create a media firestorm and weaken an offense that already depends heavily on elite speed. But moving on from Tua? Oh, that's a franchise-defining decision, one that would set off a ripple effect across the roster. Coaching, staff, and salary cap structure. The front office now faces a brutal reality check. For all the talent they've accumulated, culture matters, chemistry matters. And right now, Miami's locker room feels like a powder keg. If Waddle is truly done with Tua, then keeping both on the roster isn't just awkward, it's toxic. Other players will take sides. Trust will be questioned. And when the season kicks off, the drama won't be confined to behind the scenes. It'll play out on Sundays in real time for the whole world to see. And let's be real, this situation didn't happen overnight. The signs were there. The Dolphins may have ignored them, or at least hoped they'd fix themselves. But when your two brightest young stars are fundamentally misaligned, it's only a matter of time before it all explodes. And explode it has. What's perhaps most fascinating is how eerily familiar this feels. We've seen this movie before, dynamic duos falling apart due to ego, communication breakdowns, or simply diverging visions of greatness. Think Rodgers and Adams, think Russ and DK, but this one feels different because of the Alabama connection, the shared history, the supposed brotherhood. That's what makes it sting for Dolphins fans. They weren't just rooting for the team, they were rooting for the story, and now that story's been rewritten. It's not about redemption or rise. It's about fracture. It's about one superstar standing up and saying, I've had enough. And whether you think Waddle is justified or not, you have to admire the courage. It takes guts to challenge the system, especially when it means putting your own future on the line. So what happens next? Sources say the Dolphins are already fielding calls for Waddle, but the asking price is high, rightfully so. This is a top-tier talent still on a rookie deal, entering his prime. Teams like the Patriots, the Panthers, and even the Steelers have reportedly inquired. Meanwhile, there's buzz that Miami might quietly explore Tua's market, though doing so would be a massive admission of failure from the front office. No matter what, one thing is clear. This is no longer just about stats, wins, or even contracts. This is about identity. Who are the Miami Dolphins? Are they Tua's team? Or are they building around the future, around dynamic playmakers like Waddle, who refuse to accept anything less than championship-level execution? Only time will tell, but the clock is ticking. And the longer this drags out, the more it threatens to derail what could have been a special era in South Florida. We've entered uncharted waters, folks. The Dolphins thought they had the wind at their back, but now they're caught in a storm of their own making, and the only way out is to choose a direction. Fast. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.